Hello and welcome to the 6th video in my Part 5 Introduction to the MDA Prep course. In this video we're going to be looking at Java exceptions and the keyword throw. As always, we're going to look at the key points quickly, and then I'm going to show you some code to get to cement the knowledge that we've learned in these slides. So the things that you must know before we get into the keyword throw is you need to know what are runtime errors and the exceptions and what is the try-catch statement. So do remember that when you compile the Java code or the source code, it goes into the bytecode, and then you can export that to other PCs, and then you will use the Java virtual machine to actually run the code. And then as that's running, if it encounters a runtime error, it can do two things. It can continue the program or stop the program. And if you want to continue the program, you'll need to use this try and catch statement to catch that error and do something with that exception. So if you are unaware about what a runtime error is, then I suggest looking back at my video explaining that. And if you're unsure about what the try catch statement is, then I would suggest you watching that video to just get a better understanding of that. Also, do remember that there are many different types of exceptions. So the exception is an object, or is a class, so that you can make it an instance of. So if you're not aware of the specific types of exceptions that you can create in Java, again, I would suggest looking at the video that I've done about that. Today we're going to be focusing on the throw keyword, and the throw keyword allows us to do kind of two things. Number one, it allows us to kind of create our own custom exception. So we can create our own exception and then use the throw word to utilize that in our code. And number two, it allows us to artificially create a error in runtime. So it allows us to test the catch statement. So now I'm going to quickly look through in a bit more detail what each of these mean. Okay, so we're going to start looking at the easier one first. So this is using the keyword throw to be able to test out our catch statement. So what this does is it just artificially creates the error. So instead of writing the logic of the code that would create the string index out of bounds exception, it just artificially creates the same exception with this. So then what will happen is this code will then go onto the catch statement because it's produced that fake error. So the second way that you can use the throw keyword is to create your own custom exceptions. So what you need to do first is you need to kind of create the exception class that you want. So in this one, I've just created a no video space left exception, and then I used inheritance to pull the behaviors and properties from the parent class exception. So this is related to inheritance, which I will talk about in future videos. If you want to learn a bit more about that, I would suggest you go onto my playlist and look at inheritance. And then I've just added a constructor here, and it takes the message from the constructor and puts it into the parent constructor. So I've now created my own custom exception. Then I need to create logic that will throw my new exception. So what I'll do here is I've created a method here, and it has two values being passed through, video and an array. And what I do is I kind of cycle through the array, and I'll say, look, if there's any blank spaces in the array, I'm going to insert the video into that space. And if there are no blank spaces in that array, I'm going to say throw this exception and say you have added too many videos, so there are no more blank spaces. And then this message will be put into that constructor argument, and then that constructor argument will be put into the parent constructor argument. And I've created a new exception. And this is great for applying kind of business logic to your code. So you have some common exceptions that we talked about in the first slide, or the arithmetic exception or the index out of bound exception. But if you want to start making exceptions really related to your code, making custom errors or custom exceptions are a great way of doing this. Okay, and again, the throw keyword is what you do to then throw that new customized exception. So what we're going to be doing now is I'm going to be throwing some code at you and asking you some questions to kind of cement the key points that we've talked about in this video. Okay, so the first question is I've got two pieces of code, and what I want you to do is just tell me what will be outputted. So again, this is understanding a little bit about what the try and catch statements are, and then understanding how the throw keyword will be linking up with that catch statement. So code A is a little bit easier, code B is a little bit more challenging. So stop the video and tell me what will be outputted in both these pieces of code. Okay, so hopefully you stopped the video and you've looked at the code. So if we look at code A, we see in our try statement we're throwing this exception, and we have to look at which catch statement catches that exception, and that would be the second one, not the first one. So the output would be B for code A. Code B is a little bit more tricky. So again, what will happen is we have this try statement and it has two catch one. So the first one, the first exception it throws is this no class def found error, which is here. So output A. And then within that catch statement, there's another try catch statement. So this error here, throw new string index out of bounds exception, this would be caught by this catch statement. And so it would print D. And it wouldn't go to B because that would be the first, within the first try catch statement. So code A would output B and code B would output A and D. Okay, so we're going to stop the video there. If you can answer these three questions, and I think you have a good idea of the knowledge in this video. So the most important thing is, what does throw allow us to do? I think that will be the most important thing for the MTA exam. Number two, if you can answer what are some exceptions that we can throw, then I think you have a very good understanding of how you can apply that to your code. And number three, even though it will not be on the MTA exam, it's a good idea to be able to describe a situation where you would need to create a custom exception. So again, if you've liked the video, please like or subscribe. And if you can answer any of these questions, please leave a comment below the line, and I'll see you in the next video.